Disney+Hotstar's new series Kaala from director Bijoy Nambiar really made me appreciate the delicate art of crafting a great series, of carefully juggling between simultaneous overlapping character arcs and flitting between timelines, of balancing individual episodes, subplots and asides while building towards a larger full-season narrative, of setting up plot points that pay off later through twists and grand revelations. Kaala made me appreciate these essentials because of how frequently and fiercely it fumbles at the bare basics. The plot, or plots, because this series feels like 3 shows in one, follows Intelligence Bureau agent Ritvik Mukherjee, played by a dashing Avinash Tiwari. Ritvik is leading an investigation to bring down the massive black money operation of bad guy business tycoon Naman Arya, played by a smug, smirking Tahir Shabir. It's essentially a Jack Ryan-style high-stakes race against time narrative of badass intelligence agent risking it all to uncover a far-reaching conspiracy before it's too late. Ritvik is also the son of an alleged traitor named Shubhendu, played by a sincere Rohan Mehra, who was falsely accused and framed for murdering his entire unit. Kaala flits back and forth between Shubhendu's quest for revenge in 1988 and Ritvik's investigation of Naman Arya in 2018. And of course, the two crusades of father and son spread across 30 years are linked in mysterious ways. That's a pretty simplistic summary of the overstuffed, marvelously muddled, spectacularly scrambled, throw everything at the wall plot from writers Bijoy Nambiar, Francis Thomas, Priyas Gupta, Mithila Hegde and Shubhra Swaroop. Oddly enough, Kaala reminded me of SRK's Jawan on 2 counts. Firstly, like Jawan, here also we get a father-son story featuring a disgraced, falsely accused soldier father out for revenge who also helps his son go on a lawless crusade against the businessman bad guy who's got politicians in his pocket. And second, the frenzied, overpowering, hyperactive storytelling style that throws everything at you at once, right down to every character anywhere ever getting their own dedicated sob story flashback. At least in Jawan, we got plenty of mass moments of utter euphoria and Shah Rukh's swag to balance it out. Whereas in Kaala, what we get is a series that takes the term all style, no substance to new heights. Because Bijoy Nambiar has style, there's no doubt about it. I love the visceral vibes and visual textures of his films. I can't, for example, remember exactly what the story was in his last project, Dash, but I remember the feeling of it, the rage, the intensity, the urgency. And here too, we get solid sequences. A moody sense of atmosphere, cool fever dream montages, rooftop chases to banging music, well-shot war sequences. But style alone can only take you so far without solid writing, which is where Bijoy's work has so often struggled. But never has his storytelling been this scattered, disjointed, terribly plotted and paced. To call Kaala a hot mess wouldn't exactly be fair because after a few episodes, even the hotness dissipates, giving way to restlessness and exhaustion. For one, we get a disorienting pilot episode that's far from effective in setting up this world. It lands the urgent momentum, and you know the stakes are high, but it took me close to 3 episodes to get a firm hold of who's who and what's being investigated and why. Which is odd considering how often characters spew exposition and burst into lengthy monologues about their predicaments. After a point, the show felt like an overexcited, out-of-breath child trying to tell a story. It's all hurried enthusiasm with little context and connective tissue. There's this agent and his team, and they're investigating this bad guy, and he gets framed, and his dad also gets framed by these bad guys who did it, but they were also smuggling from secret tunnels in Bangladesh, and there's this international black money operation, and there's also this secret sister and this disabled woman, and there's also these bankers investigating financial fraud, and these hackers called Wichita, and Shakti Kapoor is there, but he also doesn't talk much, and he looks creepy. It's partly intentional. The series is looking to keep us on our toes. But there's a fine line between intrigue and annoyance. Kaala asks us not to question it, just submit to it. It's the show saying, are you confused and frazzled? I know, just stick with it and it'll all fall into place and be worthwhile. It's not. To keep up with it, it's one of those frustrating shows that requires and demands your attention rather than earns it. Then there's the intentionally confusing, poorly structured flashbacks. In the 5th episode, for example, we get a lengthy flashback, then jump back to the present, and then boom, back to the flashback. Then jump back to the present, and then boom, back to the flashback. Elsewhere, characters we barely know or care about yet deliver big twists, and then 2 episodes later we find out why. A big reveal at the end of the 3rd episode would have been far more effective to end the 1st episode, and I could go on. Speaking of subplots, there's also the matter of the terribly written trans character arc. An international criminal mastermind named Shakti, whose gradual transition we get to see through the series. Despite a clear attempt at complexity and sensitivity, the entire foot-in-mouth arc is awkward, uncomfortable, and overwritten. Also, why all the trans characters this year tragic, violent criminals and gangsters? Guns and Gulabs, Huddy, and now this. Where are the stories of trans characters just hanging out and having a good time? In terms of the cast, it's not every day you have two different shows dropping in the same week, both featuring the same three actors in prominent roles. Avinash Tiwari, Jitin Gulati and Saurabh Sachdev star in both Kaala and Prime Video's Bam Bhai Meri Jaan. As Hrithwik, despite shaky moments of loud shout acting in certain English lines that don't quite roll off the tongue so smoothly, Avinash Tiwari is thoroughly watchable and someone needs to cast him as the main man in a moody murder mystery. As one of the many bad guys here, Jitin Gulati, however, doesn't make it out quite as unscathed. He's a sincere performer and I've enjoyed watching him ever since Inside Edge, and he really goes for it here, acting with a capital A in a tricky, ambitious arc. But the shaky writing lets him down. Elsewhere, I did enjoy watching the ease Danish Aslam brings to Hrithwik's "I'm too old for this shit" boss, Himanshu. The final episode of Kaala is comparatively more focused, simple and effective. It's a sign of the series that could have been, if only. Instead, what you get is all vibe storytelling that takes itself far too seriously. In one scene, a character says, "Kya sach hai, kya jhoot hai, kuch samajh nahi aa raha hai." My thoughts exactly. You can watch Kaala on Disney+Hotstar.